Welcome aboard the AM News. Let's settle for the details of our stories now. In our first story, the Methodist Church of Ghana is asking the Electoral Commission to ensure fairness and neutrality throughout the pre and post stages of the upcoming general election to ensure peace prevails, imploring political parties and independent candidates to refrain from using inflammatory and abusive language during their campaigns. Presiding Bishop, Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena said all hands had to be on deck to protect the peace we enjoyed as a country.
We all started this journey together, and we sent our proposals to the body that is to take our laws and see to what is good for us as a nation. The churches, as we approach the general elections in December 2024, let us all resolve to eschew tendencies that will tend to compromise the peace of the country before, during, and after the elections. In that regard, it is incumbent upon all the stakeholders in the process to be minded in their duty to the state. To the Electoral Commission, it must be manifestly seen to be a fair and neutral umpire in all the processes leading to, during, and importantly, after the elections. The security personnel, they should be professional and impartial judges to engender trust in the electoral process. To our political parties and independent candidates, they should be measured in their communication and engagement, embracing inclusive language and avoiding intemperate, abusive, and offensive language in their campaigns. To the media, as always, we will call on you because you are very significant and play a role. You have to avoid sensational reportage, providing and using your platforms to create avenues for peace. In the spirit of peace,
in our next story, a leader and founder of the New Force movement, Nana Kwame Bediako, has disclosed his vision of expanding Ghana's agricultural sector through the use of modern machinery and irrigation systems. A move, he says, would boost the local economy as well as create jobs for the teeming unemployed youth. He made the statement in Techiman during his tour of the Bono East region, where he spoke against the monetization of Ghana's politics, adding that the current situation was likely to breed corruption. And Asabit has more in this report.
With a new energy, the leader and founder of the New Force, Nana Kwame Bediako, stormed the Bono East region as part of his listening tour of the 16 regions across the country. The businessman turned politician, in his address to the hundreds of party sympathizers in Techiman, disclosed his vision of expanding the agric sector through the use of technological advancements as a means of boosting food production.
I think that we have to apply industrial support. Okay, if we're doing 100 acres, we should simply find a way to do 10,000 hectares. And that's when we're going to need a lot of equipment and a lot of irrigation systems, because you can't use humans to water that. You will need industrial power to water that. Therefore, you need to advance your irrigation system. And then the fertilizing system as well, you need to create speed in it. So there are things that can grow in maybe 3 months now, but we can advance it to 2 months. And then after that, we go into processing.
He says this development would go a long way to create jobs, as the move would complement processing, which involves the creation of new industries.
The processing as well would help us to have supplying power, distribution power. Demand will come from this area because once you're able to do the distribution, then you're able to keep supplying because there will be demand. And I think that that side of distribution, you will see that it will create jobs for logistics. And even apart from that, there will be the potential aspect of using technology to also support the entire industrial platform of expanding agriculture. Once we start to process our food, we will be more healthy and we will still make more money out of it.
Sheda, as he is affectionately called by his supporters, vehemently spoke against the monetization of Ghana's politics, adding that the current situation breeds corruption.
Well, I just think for me it's the definition of stupidity that, you come, you pay bribes, the people who are receiving the bribes too are happy, and then when you finish, you take yours, you rob them, and the same people who take bribes are angry. It's a chase of wind. We're just spinning ourselves around. As a citizen, I don't want to be a citizen and be part of such thinkers. That's why I have formed a new force, because I want the new people with new mentality. All of this is demonstration of knowledge, demonstration of wisdom, how we utilize that and not use money to play the game of autocracy, democracy, and all that crazy craziness.
Nana Kwame Bediakon says the rising cost of living do not correspond with the earnings of the citizenry, hence the struggles on the streets.
I think that people are undervalued. I think people are paid minimum salary, but the economy is demanding so much from one person that they have no choice, but they have to be corrupt because the value is too small for a citizen. And the electricity is high, the water bill is high, the school fees, the transportation, all of these things. So we're like prisoners now. We are like prisoners, but we're also human beings, and I think that we deserve a better governance.
There were questions from the crowd, there were cheers from the teeming youth, and there was a song craftily created in honor of the man Sajifo Nana Kwame Bediakon, also known as Sheda. Sabit, JoyNews, teaching.
The Minister of State for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Akufo-Addo, has indicated that the Gulf of Guinea Northern Region's Social Cohesion Project has created more than 3,500 jobs for community members through participation in the construction of facilities in the project areas. He says the project has also strengthened the capacity of more than 4,000 program actors within that area. Obi Amwa has been speaking at the SOCO conference in Tamale.
The SOCO project is aimed at contributing to the prevention of conflict spillover from the Sahel regions by improving the socio and economic resilience of the northern regions in the Gulf of Guinea countries. In Ghana, the project is being implemented in 6 regions and 48 metropolitan municipal and district assemblies. Mr. Osei-Bonsu-Amwa said the SOCO project was complementing government's development agenda.
The SOCO project is complementing the government's development agenda, and the interventions are consistent with our socio-economic development policies, especially regarding the pillars of peace and security, economic growth, and social development. It is worth noting that out of the 16 project indicator targets, 13 of them have been exceeded, indicating an enormous progress towards the achievement of the project development objective. Some of these achievements include the construction and rehabilitation of 582 sub-projects in the first year, consisting of 42 roads, 66 classroom blocks and teachers' accommodation, 74 rural markets, 55 health facilities, 228 water facilities, including mechanized boreholes with hand pump, and small town water systems, among others.
Now, Upper West Regional Director of Health, Dr. Damien Pungwiri, says malaria still constitutes about 28% of outpatient department attendance in the region. However, deaths resulting from malaria have decreased from 28% to 6% per latest statistics. This he attributed partly to the indoor residue spraying embarked on by the AngloGold Ashanti, Malaria Control Ghana, and other interventions by the Ghana Health Service. Rafiq Salam has more.
The one-day stakeholders meeting organized by AngloGold Ashanti Malaria Control Ghana, AGAMAL, is aimed to emphasize the need for continuous improvement in the indoor residual spraying IRS program in the Upper West Zone. The meeting is also aimed to review the 2023 round of IRS activities and discuss the way forward for the 2024 spray campaign. AGAMAL has been operating indoor residual spraying in the Upper West region in partnership with the Ghana Health Service since 2012. The organization's goal is to combat malaria in communities and further reduce malaria mortality in the region. On the sidelines of the meeting, head of programs for AGAMAL, Malik Kofi Hassan, noted that they began spraying in the region when malaria prevalence was over 50%. He reiterated their commitment to eliminating malaria in the region and assured the public that insecticides that are used for the spraying are not harmful to their health.
Currently, as we speak, we've been able to bring it down to about 11%, which is a very positive impact to the people in their lives. And we hope to make sure that we eliminate malaria completely in the Upper West region. In the first place, we don't get you out for a day. We only ask you to stay out for about 2 hours. And again, the insecticide that we are using is not harmful to their health. It is beneficial to them, and therefore we look out to the benefit that they derive after the rooms have been sprayed.
The Upper West Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Damien Puyo, revealed that deaths resulting from malaria have significantly decreased from around 28 to 18 and further down to 6 last year.
Currently, as I speak, malaria still constitutes about 28% of OPD attendance in the Upper West region. However, when we look at the deaths resulting from malaria, we have made significant progress. We moved from around 28 down to 18, and as of last year, all deaths due to malaria came down to just 6. And that is something that we all have to celebrate. We shall not relent in our efforts to eliminate malaria from Ghana.
Now, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobina Enim says the fight against corruption in the country will continue to be a mirage if the country's institutions are not adequately resourced to enhance the fight. According to him, the fight against corruption is being looked at from only one perspective without adequately exhausting the pull and push factors, including salary levels of employees. He was speaking at the 2024 Biennial Social Conference of the University of Education, Winneba. There's more in this report.
The conversation around corruption has been so intense that we look at it from only one side rather than the resourcefulness of institutions. I am told that at some point, one of our former presidents said, the government pretends to be paying public servants, and the public servants pretend to be working. How resourceful are institutions so that gradually we can get them to move away from this practice?
Professor Samuel Kobina Enim speaking about the country's approach to fighting corruption and how the fight could be enhanced. He entreated the academics to influence policy with their research and build data repositories that would make their research relevant to the needs of society.
The pull and push factors of corruption and building complementary data series, which I talked about. This is the time for us as an academic community to take our different policy documents, don't evaluate it from a subjective point of view, evaluate it from the statistical target point of view. And there are very basic things you can do based on that. Did they have statistical targets in there? The numbers in there, can you associate with the numbers in there based on data that sits with your own university, data that sits in other national statistical spaces. Were those targets realistic? Were we able to achieve those targets?
Now, the University of Cape Coast has partnered some German technical universities to deepen the entrepreneurship drive in their students before such students graduate from university. Statistics indicate that more than 100,000 students graduate from the country's tertiary institutions every year. But such persons are unable to secure jobs after school. Director of Academic Planning and Quality Assurance at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Daniel Ejapon, says the business challenge is to provide the students with startups and other links that would resource them before graduation.
Graduate unemployment has become a teething problem for the country. Many students who graduate from the country's tertiary institutions hardly find employment opportunities. Under this project, the students make pitches and the pitches are accepted and supported to become viable employment avenues for the students. The Director for Academic Planning and Quality Assurance at the University of Cape Coast and team member of the project, Professor Daniel Ejapon, says the invitation of the pitches from the students is to make them create their own jobs even before they exit school.
This program has been put in place just to ensure that while students are in school, they come up with some innovative ideas. And these ideas, they eventually, with support, would be able to start up something for themselves and not to wait for government for jobs that sometimes may not exist. So basically, students come up with the ideas and then they pitch these ideas. And there are some guidance and also some cash prizes. Of course, this year, out of the 14 students or student groups that pitched, we were able to only award two groups. Even for those who did not actually win, the other means, of guiding them. But for those who win, we now attach them to mentors and coaches that will support them through the process. And even for those who didn't win, there are provisions now to help and coach them and mentor them to improve upon their ideas and also prepare them for other funding opportunities.
The reps of the universities from Germany that are partnering the challenge have been speaking with JoyNews.
We come from a technical university in Germany. We want to support technical startups, technical ideas here in Ghana. We really wanted to have was social impact, seeing that the idea had a lot of impact on society, but it was also scalable, so not just on a very local level, but could reach the whole of Africa.
Staying on the educational trajectory, the Assisi University has announced the rollout of new initiatives aimed at supporting graduates to launch their startups. The initiatives, tailored to cater to the interests of alumni at various stages of their entrepreneurial journeys, encompass a wide range of support services and resources. One of the flagship programs is the establishment of a startup incubator, providing alumni with access to dedicated spaces, mentorship, and funding opportunities to nurture their business ideas into viable ventures. Rejoice Semefakbesu has more in this report.
Complementing the incubator program are entrepreneurship workshops, training sessions, and networking events designed to equip alumni with the essential skills, knowledge, and connections needed to navigate the challenges of starting and scaling up a business. Additionally, the university is offering access to funding and investment opportunities, legal and administrative support, as well as marketing and branding assistance to help alumni effectively launch and grow their startups. Associate Professor at Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center, Gordon Adomza, says the venture incubator aims to catalyze innovation and create job opportunities to ease the unemployment rates in the country.
Assisi is set up to educate ethical entrepreneurial leaders with the courage to transform the continent. So we are always looking at ways in which we can support our students to gain entrepreneurial interest, and also to, when they graduate, either start businesses or do things entrepreneurially when they join large companies in industry. So we wanted to understand the impact that the education, or we call it the experiential education that we're giving them, wanted to understand how it was impacting or how it was influencing their entrepreneurial actions, whether as startup founders or as employees in companies. And we're doing this with McGill University. Right, so there are a couple of findings, but the one that's standing out for us that we're talking about here today is how we support alumni that have been out of school for long, 5 to 7 years. At Assisi, we have a venture incubator, the Assisi Venture Incubator, that supports graduating students and recent alumni to do a market research and sort of incubate their ideas for a year as part of their national service. But when we conducted the research, it was clear to us that there were a lot of alumni who were employed in industry, in large companies, with entrepreneurial ideas that were waiting to start.
The university is embarking on this ambitious initiative together with other public universities to support its alumni in their entrepreneurial endeavors.
Some global research, some work published in the Harvard Business Review also tells us that the average age of a successful entrepreneur is 45, not 22, right, like we think. So it was clear to us that there's a gap there that universities, including ours, should probably do more to support entrepreneurs that have been out for long, 5, 7, 10 years. And it didn't look like there were any programs existing currently that were supporting, that do that. And so we've brought a number of universities together. We have Ken UST, UMAT, UCC, a number of University of Ghana Business School, a number of other organizations that do entrepreneurial training, MEST and so forth, to really interrogate this question. How can such institutions, of course, working with partners in industry, build programs that support people who have had some entrepreneurial education or have experiential education that's supposed to predispose them to startups?
Rejoice Semefakwesu's report for JoyNews.
And that's the note on which we cap off the news. But stay with us. Up next, the news review with James Kofi Annan. He is the NDC's parliamentary candidate for Efutu. We'll be right back.